The All About Audiology podcast was like a silly idea that I was like, I guess I'm going to talk about things I want to talk about. But in the end, it is our community and our platform, and I am honored and grateful. Welcome back to the All About Audiology podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lilach Saperstein. This is a celebration episode. Wow, I would like to tell you guys that we have not done this little chit-chat kind of podcast episode in a while, having so many amazing guests here on the show, but I had to come on and do a special celebration episode for 50,000 total downloads. You heard it, 50,000. I said that number out loud to myself. I said it to a friend and I wrote it down and I took a screenshot and I did the whole thing. What is 50,000 total downloads? That means 50,000 clicks on an episode. We are some 74 episodes in, coming up on 3 years in January of the podcast. So many amazing conversations and topics and points of interest. I am a little hoarse today. I'm just going with it because I am celebrating you and thanking you for being a listener, for sharing the show, for sharing it with your friends and people in your support group and your patients and your students. Thank you for being a part of the All About Audiology community. This is what it is about and what my dream was, my vision was, to have a place online where we're having conversations, where we springboard the dialogue about what it means to be related to, in any way, the field of audiology, but more importantly, really the truth of it, related to a child who is hard of hearing, a child who is deaf, and being a family that now has to navigate a world that you may never have been accustomed to. I heard from someone early on and they said, what do you mean you're doing an audiology podcast? It's a spoken podcast that you talk to people and then you listen to it. Like your whole thing is about hearing loss. And it was like, I hear what you're saying, but let's look a little broader. Okay, a little broader is that this community of professionals, families, students, related professionals too, not just audiologists and speech language pathologists, but all the people who are caring for and working with you, your families, your patients, your community. How do you parent when you have so many appointments that are always coming up? And how do you make sure that your child feels included and loved and can communicate with everyone in their family that they love, and access to education? These bigger questions. How do we handle the relationships between siblings and dynamics? All of those things, that's always been the focus, is to get a broader sense as well as zooming in on certain topics. Guys, celebrating. The All About Audiology podcast was like a silly idea that I was like, I guess I'm going to talk about things I want to talk about. But in the end, it is our community and our platform, and I am honored and grateful. Oh, and one more thing. My super good friend, Victoria, thank you so much for celebrating with me. We were sitting at a cafe, and she was like, stop the press. 50,000? Do you understand how many people that is? So she said, stop what you're doing and Google right this minute the population of the neighborhood, the city that we were in. We Googled the population. The population was 39,000. And she was like, you have more listens on your podcast than as many people who live in this entire town. That kind of blew me away. I want to thank you and tell you that you listening to the podcast means so much to me, and I do not take it for granted. And especially when you message me on Instagram, on Facebook, and you let me know which podcast episode meant something to you, or a question that came up from it, or that you shared it with your students in your syllabus. Like, yes, thank you. Hi, students. You guys are my favorite. I love being a teacher. That's such a big part of what I'm doing. I'm also a professor, and I use my podcast as supplemental material to our class today. Go listen to episode this, and this with this family who shared their specific story, and with this professional coming from a different perspective. Such a rounded and human way to look at all these topics. So thank you for listening, and thank you for sharing the show. Now I want to talk a little bit about how you can help support the show so we can make 74 more episodes and get 50,000 more. Can you imagine the 100,000 download party we're going to be having like soon? You know what I mean? So thank you. If you are interested in supporting the show and supporting the work that we're doing here, that is at patreon.com/allaboutaudiology. Becoming a patron means that with your $1 or $5 or $10 monthly donation that you can cancel anytime. But if you're interested in helping the fact that this show is always transcribed, that the show needs to be edited, getting all the guests together, etc., etc., everything that goes into making the show. If you can support the production of the show, that is so, so appreciated. You can go to patreon.com/allaboutaudiology, become a patron, and then I will just thank you so much. That really, really means a lot to me. If you've gotten value from this, please go ahead and become a patron of the show. That is one place where you can support the show. Now, if you're interested in working with me directly, if you have any questions, if you want me to take a look at what's going on for you, for your child, for your family, and you want to do a session with me, that is typically a $250 per session value. That is something that I do with many families around the world. However, I would like you to know that I also work on a pay it forward, pay what you can model as well to make this the services and the support that you deserve accessible to you. And I will have a link in the show notes to my ProDana page where you can book a call with me, a talk with me, and not have to worry about the fee, because the way that it works, independent of your ability to pay, you will be able to book an appointment with me and then pay what you can. And actually, I do not get paid for the session that you pay for. You are actually paying for the next person's session. It is a pay it forward model. So I receive the previous contribution from the previous client only when I work with the next client, meaning that anything you contribute for our session actually pays for the next person's session. You can also make contributions to ProDana without having a session with me as a one-time contribution or a monthly contribution if you are interested in subsidizing and supporting the work that we're doing to make it more accessible and affordable to families all over the world. And I mean all over the world, this international community. And I want to do this, and I am grateful and just blessed and blown away that I'm getting people reaching out to me and I'm able to help them because of the contributions and the help of everyone in this community who are actually paying it forward to those other families. And I'm offering this counseling at a reduced cost for those who can afford the standard rate, and you will be making an impact by joining the mission of reaching any parent who needs my services. So the way it works is that we do a session and then you get an email at the end of the session from prodana.org, which is inviting you to pay your experience forward. If you have no ability to pay whatsoever, then that is also allowed. Okay, so if that has to be that you leave a review and you are benefiting now, and then in a year or in 10 years, if you want to come back and say, hey, I really benefited from Dr. Lilach's services and I want to pay it forward so she can continue working with other clients, that's what this platform is for. If you're someone that I worked with before and you were in a situation to afford the rates and that's okay, and you want to do that now, please help other families and pay it all forward, because that is the real thing that we're doing here. The real thing is we're helping each other get through life in a way where we feel supported. So that's what's going on at prodana.org. And I just want to read you a couple of the reviews that I've gotten on there because it really, really warms my heart. And I just want you to go over to that page and see what has been happening there with the amazing, amazing families and clients that I have worked with. And so here's the comment I got in September 2021. Wonderful discussion. It's like talking to a best friend. Lilach is an awesome resource. I always get great information, feedback, and guidance. Thank you for that. I do love talking to my clients and families because, I am a doctor of audiology and I do run the podcast and the support group and the programs. But at the end of the day, I'm a mom like you, and I know the struggles you're facing, and we have to come up together with strategies and the resources you're looking for. So here's another comment from October, and this says, Lilach helps me to think outside my current state about the potential resources and support. I always walk away feeling more confident in my goals and intentions. Yes, more confidence. Thank you. I love that. Another comment. Oh, I love this one. Dr. Saperstein is an amazing audiologist with a special place for parents going through this journey. She is just what the parents navigating the new world of hearing loss need. Thank you. I want you to know that I am bursting with service and joy and gratitude that I want to spread. I want to give it to you, and I want you to know, if you're new in this journey, if you've been on here for years or decades, you got teenagers, you got adult kids, or you have a newborn baby, whatever's going on for you, I want you to know that there's more to the support that's out there for you than you are probably getting. And I hope that you have a really awesome clinical team. And I thank all of my amazing colleagues that are doing the clinical work, testing and programming and showing you all of the technical and important parts, the actual stuff that you need wherever you are in the world. I pray that you are getting really good care, that your child is in good hands. But there's more. There's more, and especially as the parent, what support are you getting about how this is all affecting you? You still have your job, maybe other children, your hobbies, your friends, your worries, your dreams, everything that's going on for you as the adult, as the parent. You deserve that support too. And that is what I'm doing. That's the need that I saw in the world. And I decided to come and try and make a difference there for as many families as I can in the world. So if you're interested in working with me in a one-on-one or learning more about the Connect and Advocate group program, then let's have a chat. And, again, if the cost is the one thing that's in the way, we're going to talk about it. We have this amazing community of supporters who are all coming together to create this community for you. And just know that you're so far from alone. I know it really can be so isolating when you learn about your child's diagnosis or you understand that your child is deaf or hard of hearing, something that you probably did not expect. The majority of parents who are hearing, who discover this about their child, there is so much to understand and to unpack and to process and to grieve, but also celebrate. So we can do that together. I'm here for you. I'm Dr. Lilach Saperstein. I am celebrating 50,000 downloads of the podcast with you. I will see you on Instagram at All About Audiology Podcast. I will see you on Facebook in the All About Audiology Facebook group. I thank you for your iTunes reviews. I thank you so much for your patrons, those of you who are patrons on Patreon, and all of you who have contributed on Prodana. Visit all the links in today's episode. This is just a little interlude. Let's take a quick gander at what episodes there were recently. And hopefully you've been catching those episodes. We had podcasts with Dr. Leah Beekman all about speech-language pathology in the home and talking about sarcasm and talking about the different things that speech-language pathologists do in conjunction with audiology. That was such a fun episode. We had a talk about universal design and disability advocacy with Becky Hales, who is studying to be an audiologist. And we had the conversation with Dr. Carol Flexer, all of the different angles around auditory verbal therapy, supporting audition from the very beginning, as well as the episode with Mallorie Evans, who is an incredible audiologist doing so much in the educational audiology space and in making sure that we are noticing and tackling some of the inherent bias within audiology. We talked with Katie Petruzziello, who is the author of a beautiful book, and other authors of books for kids. We talked about auditory processing disorder with Juliana Pedri and heard the story of Dr. Laura Pratesi's EVA, Enlarged Vestibular Aqueducts. Oh, you have to also listen to Takniyan, Debbie Dachi, who talked about her journey and her son about loving and supporting your children unconditionally, even moving countries for them. Okay, listen, go to the search bar at allaboutaudiology.com or search on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere you're getting your podcasts and search for the keywords that you're interested in, cochlear implants, or do you want to talk about sign language? Do you want to talk about advocacy? Look for those keywords and you will find episodes that we have done with incredible people in our community. I love you. I'm going to put that out there. Thank you. I love you. And I can't wait to speak with you soon. From my heart, from my home, from my family to yours. I hope you have an amazing day, a beautiful holiday season, and an excellent 2022 that's like coming, right? Okay, talk to you soon. This is Dr. Lilach Saperstein, and this is the All About Audiology podcast.